Hey friends, Mark here from WhiskyWhistle, your wise choice in independent whiskey and spirits reviews. Welcome to the 2017 WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year Awards. Alright, now first of all, before we get started, I'd like to wish all of you a very, very happy new year in 2018. I'm really excited about 2018. I hope you are too. Well, I don't want to say too much here. I want to make this a little bit on the short side. I know that sometimes I think I run a little bit too long with my reviews. I hope you like that. Some of you might not. I don't care. Anyway, let's get going here, okay? Now, as you can see, I've got four whiskeys of the year. 4 WhiskyWhistle whiskeys of the year. 2 main categories. NAS, non-age statement. These whiskeys do not carry an age statement, and as thus, well, I guess the minimum age statement, minimum age requirement in Scotland is 3 years old. Same with a few other countries, because these are not all Scotch whiskies. In fact, should I give hints here? I'm not going to give any hints. Anyway, the places where these are made, 3 years is the minimum to be called whiskey. So the NAS whiskeys, well, they could be 3 years old. They're much older. And one of them, in fact, is probably more like a mix of 10, 12, 14, maybe even 16-year-old whiskey. The final two there, these are age stated. They carry an age statement like, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old. That's called an age statement. So 2 age statement whiskeys. And for each category, we have a rather inexpensive, highly accessible whiskey. And then a slightly more expensive, but still not very astronomical in price. These are still accessible for regular Joes like me. So a lesser expensive one, quite inexpensive one, and then one that is kind of like, for a special occasion, that kind of a whiskey. So, well, I'm sure you're very curious. So let's get started, all right? Now then, the WhiskyWhistle, did you see what I did there? Looks like my child did it. In fact, I did it. I promise. Alright, anyway, the WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year in the category of NAS. And this is the inexpensive NAS. And that is, should we do the reveal? That is Kirin Whiskey Fuji Sanroku. Now, this is a Japanese blended whiskey. I believe it's all blended in the same distillery, with a few different stills, a column still, a pot still, etc. It's non-chill filtered, and it is 50% ABV. This 700 milliliter bottle I bought for roughly about 2,000 Japanese yen. So about $20 or 20,000 won. Let's get a little bit poured. Not too much. Just a little bit to taste. Anyway, really lovely whiskey. It's got a wonderful nose. It has that signature Japanese whiskey scent, which may be something like the Mijinara oak, the Japanese variety of oak, or it could be just the air and the ground and the water, the terroir, that gives it that classic Japanese scent. It's got quite a potent nose, 50% ABV, but still very sweet, very fragrant, very floral and fruity. Alright, we'll taste that in a minute. Now let's get on to the next category. The WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year in the category of NAS. Let's call that Special Occasion Whiskey. A little bit more expensive. What's that going to be? That's going to be Glenmorangie, the Astar, the 2017 edition. I really like this whiskey. The Glenmorangie Astar, the 2017 edition, it's 52.5% ABV, big proof. Now, it lost some proof from the original Astar, which came out, I think, sometime, I don't know, maybe 2012 or something like that, 2008. Anyway, this is also non-chill filtered, and I think it's a mix of whiskeys 10 years old, possibly up to 16 years old. That's in my opinion. Now, they've used some special American oak for this from their own whiskey oak farm, their own forest, the Glenmorangie forest in Where is it? It's in the Ozarks in Missouri. Put the glasses in front. Let's do that. Anyway, lovely whiskey. Not that expensive. It's about $80, $90 US. Maybe up to about, well, maybe 160 in Canada. A little bit expensive in Canada. That's too bad. All right, now let's get on to the age statement whiskeys. All right, the WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year for the category of age statement money saver. Maybe that's what I'll call it. The money saver. The inexpensive one, that's going to be Glen Breton 10-year-old from Canada. Now, this is about $80 Canadian, which is about par for your basic 10, 12-year-old Scotch whiskies. It's a single malt. It's made in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia means New Scotland, by the way. There was a bit of hullabaloo about the fact that they used the word Glen. Now, in my mind, if you are in a province called New Scotland and you have people that are from Scotland, I see no problem with using the word Glen, and that's just my own opinion. Sorry to the Scotch Whisky Association. It's 43% ABV, so a little bit higher strength than your typical basic 10, 12-year-old Scotch whiskies. A little bit of a dumpy bottle. I wish they would put maybe like a new style for that one. That was a bit of a big pour for this this show. Now it is herbal. It's very similar in my mind to a Highland, a Scotch Highland single malt. Lots of herbs, and yet lots of these rich fruits as well. Tropical fruits too. In fact, what I can say about a lot of these is that they've got a bit of a tropical fruitiness to them. All right, folks, now it's time for the marquee of the show, the 2017 WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year in the category of age-stated deluxe. That's what we'll go with, the deluxe age-stated WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year. What's that going to be? The Glendronach Allardyce. That is an 18-year-old, 46% naturally colored, non-chill filtered Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. Now, beautiful packaging, simple packaging, nice color ranges. If you can find the 15-year-old, I highly recommend that too. I think that's coming back into production, into release, perhaps in 2018. Look at the color of this. This is definitely mahogany, if you want to think about the colors of whiskey in terms of wood. All right, let's get that poured. Just a little bit. Now, it's full of rich fruits. It has a little bit of peat. It's got sumptuous raisins. It's got a lovely, lovely nose, as well as a wonderful palate. Not only that, but a very, very long finish. Now, let's taste a little bit of each of these before we wrap up the show. First of all, the Fuji Sanroku from Kirin Whiskey. Classy nose. That's what I said before. A classy Japanese whiskey nose. It comes off as a single malt. Now, it is a blend of grain and malt. And what I have learned about this is that it's about 50-50 malt and grain. And 10%, almost 10% of that malt apparently is 20 years old. Oh, what a scent. All right, let's get on to the palate. Cheers, everyone. Happy New Year's. At 50%, you wouldn't guess it. It's got a very silky, buttery mouthfeel. It really comes off at about 46-45%. If you tasted that, you wouldn't put it over 45-46. The flavors are a little bit of banana, a little bit of tropical fruit, some caramel, lots of caramel, and a little bit of dryness. Now, obviously, since I'm giving this the WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year award for 2017, I highly recommend it. So if you can get your hands on a bottle of this, I think in Europe it's fairly accessible. It might be available in USA. Canada, I don't think so, but possibly in Alberta. They seem to get lots of world whiskies there. All right, let's get on to the 2017 WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year in the category of NAS Deluxe, and that is Glenmorangie A Star. It really comes off as something older than those 12-year-old, what are they called, extra matured, I think that's what they're called, the extra matured range from Glenmorangie, La Santa and Quinta Ruban and Nectar d'Or. Comes off a little bit older than that. The nose is somewhat like the 10-year-old, and yet it's much more complex. It's got a lot more fruit. It's got a lot more oomph to it, obviously at 52%. But the wood has really had a nice effect on this whiskey. Cheers again. Now this has a little bit of potency in the palate. I would recommend you try neat and then also with a little bit of water added. What a finish! It has such a long finish. That's one of the reasons why I really love this whiskey. Alright, well let's get on to the 2017 WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year in the category of basic age stated, and that's the Glenbreton from Canada. It has a very unusual nose. It has some slightly, let's call that slightly sour cherry. Slightly sour cherries, some fresh apple, crab apple. I think there's a hint of peat in there too. Do they use peat? I don't know. A little bit of vanilla, but it's really this herb, kind of a herb and crisp, slightly underripe, fruity kind of a scent. It's got some green herbs in there. Not mint, more like fresh basil. Maybe a bit of rosemary as well, but just a hint. All right, onto the palate. Cheers all. In the palate, you're greeted with a bit of vanilla. Lots of these herbs also, and very, very fruity. Again, a very, very long finish. Now then for the marquee. Now, I think this actually hits a lot of people's whiskey of the year, year after year. Again, what a rich, dark color, and the nose is that unmistakable, super, ultra, beautiful sherry, Spanish sherry sort of influence. Raisins and dates. Something like reduced cherries as well. Chocolatey, chocolate cherry. Alright, and onto the palate. Again, Happy New Year. Now it's got a lot of dryness, but it's also got a lot of sweetness too. Pretty much the perfect balance there. The finish is unreal. Chocolatey, cherry, raisins. Boy, that's delicious. So that is the 2017 WhiskyWhistle Whiskey of the Year for the category of age stated deluxe. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that helps you make some choices for your buying in the upcoming months. Now, there are lots of runners-up, a couple that I'd like to mention here. One of them is a bourbon, and you may have seen my reaction to this bourbon in the last review. And that is Evan Williams 101, the Red Label, 12 years old. Now, Evan Williams Red Label apparently only available in USA at the distillery. It's readily available in Japan and a lot cheaper. My goodness. Now, I hate to say it, but there's a bit of a problem there. I hope that they address that. I think anyone who likes whiskey, be it Scotch whiskey, Canadian, European whiskeys, you can give that a try and you'll like it. The next one is a mid-range, upper middle age stated. It's 15 years old. It's also 46% ABV, and that is Glen Scotia 15-year-old. So this also gets an honorable mention from WhiskyWhistle for this year. I really love this whiskey. It's also unchill filtered, and just a huge whiskey. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. All right, well, hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned. There's lots more to come. There might be more before the end of the year. There might not. I'm not sure. I've got lots to do. I've also got 3 children. So if you don't see a review from me until January 2nd or 3rd, I apologize. You'll have to wait, all right? So take care now. Have a great 2018. We'll see you in 2018.
Thanks for watching Whiskey Whistle. Be sure to subscribe, and don't forget to give this video a like and leave a comment down below. Be sure to stay tuned next time to join me, the host of the show, Mark, as I explore more whiskeys with you. Take care now, and we'll see you next time.